Sometimes when things aren't going to plan, I like to tell myself that life can be a bit like changing a tyre at times. Not in the big existential kind of way, just in a small day-to-day kind of way. It's usually a case of not having the right tool or trying to take a shortcut. Or sometimes the struggle is simply a gap between what I know and what I haven't learnt yet. But the mantra goes, if it seems impossibly hard, I'm probably doing something wrong. So I take a step back and see what I'm missing. I've changed plenty of tyres. There's a set sequence to the job. Valve core out, break the bead, use the rim drop center, and so on. This ain't a tyre changing lesson, but the old one comes off, the new one goes on. It's not magic, it's just following the plan. If it ain't budging, then I know I must be rushing or ill-equipped. But when everything's going smoothly, it feels like I know what I'm doing. Not because I'm some expert, but because things are cooperating. Sure, I'll scrape a knuckle here and there, maybe pinch a tube if I get cocky. And let's not forget, flats rarely happen in optimum circumstances. But mostly I've figured it out. And when I've not, I've learned how to make it look like I have at least. Just don't get me started on mooses. I didn't always know how to do this stuff. When I first started riding, routine maintenance felt mysterious. Tyre changes, oil changes, chain tension, wearable part replacement. These weren't just tasks, they were like rituals. The kind of knowledge that's passed down from father to son, a rite of passage you might say. My dad had bikes, I think. He died when I was just a kid, so I missed the official induction to wrenching on a bike. But through necessity, I did learn the long way round eventually. Hey. "2018, riding the Manali-Leh highway. Besides the majesty of the Himalayas, what struck me was the volume of breakdowns and flats, but not ours. Those of the Indian riders making that same pilgrimage from all across India, and just how unbothered they were. The ride of a lifetime held up indefinitely, stranded by the inability to deal with even the most routine breakdown. We did come prepared. When we arranged to rent the bikes, we also arranged for a box of spare parts, and we got tubes and plugs and a few other service parts that we thought we might need. They were often riding 3 up, with little more than a small suitcase bungeed to the back, obviously packed so full with optimism there couldn't have been room for more than a pair of spare undies and a toothbrush. Not everyone was totally underprepared. These guys were a class act. It wasn't their first rodeo. We stopped at everyone we noticed in need. Billy, one of my mates, must have made a name for himself that trip. I watched him fix a dozen or more punctures. There he is. Hello, boy. At that time I did know how to repair a flat, but hadn't much experience. He, however, had the confidence. He also had his personal tyre irons with him, and I guess eventually a sense of duty. The duty to fix every goddamn puncture we encountered. The irony in all this is that the only one of us whose bike did break down was Billy's. We ended up pushing her into town. The 2017 Royal Enfield Himalayans were carburetted, and if memory serves, it was a classic case of shit in the carb. This photograph is of myself, not doing maintenance, just warming my hands. About 2 years ago now, we ran out of fuel in Albania, way off the beaten track, way out of signal, in this old Lada Niva we were travelling through the backcountry in, whose issues were not limited to the faulty fuel gauge, but that's the one that caught us out first. We'd been sitting there for maybe 5 minutes, no plan, no backup, when this battered old truck rolls up and two fellas hop out. Spoke not a word of English, but it didn't take them long to ascertain the problem. Like, this was 5 minutes we had been stranded, maximum. Maybe it was a little longer, maybe my memory has softened the edges, but it definitely wasn't a long wait. They were brothers and a natural comedy double act. No language was a barrier to learning that much. Where gravity was against us, they would hitch us up and tow. Everywhere else we could coast. And when we would run out of steam, they would hitch up again, and it went this way for an hour or more, until we reached the nearest village. From there they had arranged someone to drop some fuel off for us, just enough to make it into town. No questions, no drama, it just helped. It was simple and so generous. And I remembered those guys in the Himalayas, the ones who I had thought were unprepared. And I thought maybe they weren't, maybe they just had faith that the road would provide, that something or someone would just show up. And I guess that they did just show up. We showed up. The same as these two brothers had just showed up. I still carry my tools, I still like to be prepared. I like to know I can get myself out the shit in a pinch, but lately I have been thinking about how much of life isn't about being ready. It's about being open, letting the flat tire happen, letting someone else lend a hand, trusting that help comes not because you deserve it, but because someone else decides to offer it. And maybe that's the real trick, not mastering the tire change, but learning to sit with the breakdowns and trusting that eventually you'll get exactly what you need.